awaited us. It's all about a series of choices we make and finding ourselves often pushed outside our comfort zone. Now, growing up, my father, I used to constantly tease about having one of his sons. He used to do all the non-rural activities, from frog hunting to going off and collecting creepy critters in brown bags for some unknown reason. He also used to take me to the Supercross every year, which is still a passion I now share with my son. Love it. But he also used to buy me reptiles that he wanted as a child. It's all these non-rural activities, which, by the way, if anybody wants to scare out the average mom out of a bedroom, all you have to do is hang a branch in the corner of the bedroom, slap the chameleon on it. We'll do the trick, probably even for most men. Now, throughout life, as I proceeded into my senior year, my senior year in high school came to be quite a challenging one. I was pushed far outside my personal comfort zone. It was during that time that I made a choice that certainly could have been construed as an error judgment. Needless to say, that one-time decision had me finding myself pregnant at 17. Now, while this is going on, my grandfather was also dying of cancer. He had been deemed terminal. Fortunately, I was living in the same city as my grandparents, so we picked me up and moved me in with my grandparents to help support both of them. And my grandma and I still to this day are quite the dynamo team. We took turns every 2 hours getting him turned and just supporting each other. And on the weekends, my parents would move in and give us a chance to actually sleep through the night for 2 nights. Now, unbeknownst to the family, there was more boiling down the turn there. And it wasn't until, unfortunately, when my grandfather passed that my family found out that I was indeed pregnant. I was about just shy of 7 months. And after the family got over the initial shock, as they should, my mom quickly signed up, became my mom's buddy, and off we went. A few months, short time later, delivered an amazing, beautiful little girl, Heather, who still is the one I look up to. This would be no problem for her. But the beauty of the day she was baptized for me was my great-grandma had handmade a baptismal gown for my grandfather, who had just recently passed. We put that gown on Heather, and after her baptism, went and trekked over to see my grandma at the convalescent home, who, by the way, happened to be 101 at the time, and put my daughter in her arms and snapped a shot, which I will forever remember. In fact, this gown is probably about 91 years old, roughly. Seeing as my grandma's 91, so I'm just guessing. Probably around it. Moving forward from that point, I continued on into college with the support of my family. Ended up meeting my husband my first year. From that point, we got married within a year. And talk about moving outside of your comfort zone. Neither of us had ever lived on our own, let alone in another city. And we picked up as newlyweds, moved to Riverside so he could go to UCR. And here I am, a newlywed, a toddler in tow, taking college classes, working part-time, and trying to figure out how to run a household. And oh, by the way, have no idea how to cook. Not quite sure how my husband didn't lose 20 pounds immediately. My culinary skills were not very good. He quickly called home to ask his mom, please send some recipes for food I can eat. My family will attest I've definitely honed in. I'm much better at the cooking, quite a whiz in the kitchen now. But the moment my husband graduated from school, man, our boxes were packed and we were back home. I was homesick. An hour and 15 minutes was too far for me. So we ran back home, and 4 years later, I was blessed with my son, Andrew. My daughter's now 23. My son is 15. Now, through the years, we've enjoyed many, many vacations together as a family, or one-day outings, one-on-one with the kids, or together as a unit. But by far, my husband's most brilliant idea ever was trekking us off to Phoenix, Arizona for the NASCAR race. 3 days of cars going around and crashing into each other. That was it. My daughter and I were done. The guys continued on with that tradition. Heather and I moved forward with going to the pageant of the Masters in Laguna Beach every year, which we still enjoy. She's been a fan of the art since age 5, and she fell in love with Claude Monet of all ages. One of the other funny stories was my husband and daughter every January would go to Knott's Berry Farm. And this time they were attending the animal show. And my daughter's about 7, 8, long blonde hair, big blue eyes. Call me from the audience. They bring her down and she's petting the porcupine, and unbeknownst to her, the other worker's creeping forward with a large python. Now, as my husband expresses it, you can imagine what the audience is thinking, blue-eyed blonde, you know? So anyhow, the guy keeps creeping closer and closer, rests this large reptile on her shoulders. Was not the reaction the audience or the workers had anticipated. Instead of her freaking and running for the hills, she actually was just enthralled with the whole thing and took it all, and she never held a stake that size. In terms of employment, I've always felt very blessed. 9 years at Jenny Craig. Interesting enough, through all the buyouts, the last buyout was Nestle, and I am referencing the candy company, who decided they wanted healthier options. Working on the phone with clients, they're like, what are you going to do? Start sending us big candy bars, fatten us up so you can charge us money and buy food? So after we got past that initial shock, of course, a piece of the company had been lost. Found myself all the way across the street at Buffini and Company, which is an absolutely amazing company. Pushes us outside of our comfort zone, hence why I'm here. But so 41 years into life, I have found it's truly all about the choices we make, how we personally move forward with what life presents us. And it's also about taking a leap of faith in ourselves and in God and really stepping outside